All right. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Factorio. So, last time we had a bit of a crisis. We basically entirely lost access to Gleba. It's completely ruined. So, we're gonna have to fix that. So, the goal for today is to get ready to do that. And that is going to involve getting nuclear power finished. It's pretty close as it is, but could be a little bit more. Let's make that a provider chest, just in case we want to grab some of that, which I think we are going to. Because I think we want to upgrade to uranium cannon shells. Because 2,000 damage plus 6.4k versus 1,000 plus 3.2k. It's literally twice as good, which is pretty neat. So we're gonna do that, and that shouldn't be terribly difficult. Let's just go up here to the area where we make our cannon shells and figure out what went wrong here. So you don't have plastic. So we need plastic to produce just regular old cannon shells. Which... Are we grabbing the plastic out from anywhere? It doesn't look like it. Unless it's like all the way back here, but no, it's not. Alright, so we need to just make a provider chest to grab some plastic off of this belt. And apparently it's going to need a power pole, because of course it will. And this is going to be limited down to just a couple stacks, so that we don't do too much damage to our supply of plastic over there. Alright, so that is all set up, and now we're going to be droning that plastic out to the various places where we need it, which should get us pretty much mostly just this. Alright, so cannon shells are producing now. So we can just set this up next to it and make uranium cannon shells with a requester chest for uranium 238. So there we go. And then this will just output into another box, which we can also limit to just a couple of stacks. Alright, so that is that. That's uranium cannon shells set up. So when we get into serious fights with a tank, we should be pretty easily able to deal with whatever we need to do. And yeah, so that's that. Next up, I want this nuclear stuff to get all set up first. It seems to be taking quite a while. I guess we're not in a huge rush for the nuclear power plant. Let's see, we're researching the atomic bomb, which I don't know if we're going to be able to do that, if we're going to have enough uranium to do it. Okay, so this is struggling. We're just barely holding out power-wise, and that's probably because our nuclear plant up here isn't doing much. So hopefully that changes soon once this centrifuging gets done. And also hopefully we aren't slowly bleeding out accumulator charge. Like this next cycle, if we're doing more than last time, might be a problem. But hopefully it isn't. Alright. Power from the sun is starting back up. So that's good. It's just a question of how long it will last, and will it last long enough for this whole loop to get all the way over to here and start actually running. Because once we get a steady supply of uranium fuel cells, then we should be good on power for the foreseeable future. Especially once we start expanding it out even more. Alright. Narrow Min, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. We are just doing some prep before we go to reconquer Gleba, which we lost to the pentapods just last stream. So I do want to have nuclear power on so that this doesn't happen, so I don't have to constantly be stressing about that. We are also up here making some uranium cannon shells. And what does the ammo look like? Alright. How much better is that? That's like a lot better. Okay, yeah, that's probably worth doing then. So let's get another one of these. And you are going to grab some of those and get powered up. Assume there's a plan. Yeah, the plan is to just bring lots of military stuff, including like uranium rounds and that sort of thing, so that we can successfully defeat the pentapods and then work out how to rebuild from there. It's not the world's most detailed plan, but hopefully it'll be enough of a plan. Alright, so that is set up. And apparently we need a power pole in there. Alright, so that should get the uranium weapons set up. Once that once the uranium starts showing up, it's got a bit of a journey to take. So up to like 20-ish of those. How is the uranium recycling going? It's going pretty well. We have plenty of stocks in most of these, but it's still gonna be a bit longer before this is fully functional. And science is fluctuating wildly. What's going on with that? Let's see, so this is the science here. And we don't have military science at the moment. And why do we not have military science? These guys don't have enough grenades, that's why. Alright, so we need to expand grenade production then. Where do we even make those? They're like down in this spot here. And they're not... Okay, wait. Actually, we have just a iron ore problem. Okay. Why is there like no iron ore? Is that just a temporary disruption, or... No, this guy is already just sitting there waiting uselessly. Okay, yeah, we need to add a new iron setup. So let's see here. Where is the most convenient iron patch? Probably that one. That one is like sort of set up, but not really. Okay, what we need to do is we need to get the iron plates. So currently the iron plates only go over to here and into this line. So I guess what we need to do is... Okay, wait. If we just input priority iron plates from up here, and then that will send less iron plates from here into that area, which should help a little bit. I'm not sure what is going on there. Oh, right. That's feeding all this stuff over that way, which isn't running. And over here, these guys are... Okay. That all looks like it's going fine. Okay, this place up here is getting hit by biters. We do have an artillery gun in there, so that's not surprising. And speaking of artillery, we don't have any stockpiles of this, but we are crafting some up. So that's fine. We can just let that happen in the background. This, meanwhile, you need to be speed moduled. That's so slow. So you can be speed moduled. Can you even afford to be speed moduled? A little bit, but not meaningfully. Also, we're going to need a lot fewer of these than we're going to need of this. So we can just sort of leave that as is for now. Now, the iron plate problem is mostly an iron ore problem. So this is taking iron plates that come out of this line here, which are coming from this row, which just take directly from these trains. Now, is this, like, functional? So these guys are waiting at iron sources to fill up. Yeah, I think we just need another iron source attached to the train network. I think that's just ultimately going to be the easiest fix. Okay, what's going on with that? They've tacked a little bit further this way than usual, so let's just expand out that double wall a bit and pop another laser turret in there. And then let's just take... Let's see here. Is this like a relevant amount of iron? It's not nothing. It is some iron, but it's not all that much. Alright, let's just grab that iron patch over there, which hopefully we'll just be able to do remotely. So we're going to set that up and then bring drone ports along it. And let's see, that goes out to like there, so this... I want to get these set up preemptively so I don't have to spend as much time doing it, but it is going to be a little bit tricky. Alright, I saw some solar panels take damage, but they didn't. It disappeared pretty quickly, so it's probably fine. Alright, we need this to get a cliff explosive or something for that power pole to get placed. This stuff is all getting built. Alright, so now we just need to set up the mines on this, which... Actually, can we start by just sort of getting all the trees out of that area? That should take a while, but should be fine. And then in the meantime, can start popping these mining drills on, which are going to go like that, and keep them in nice straight lines back up to there. Just leave the occasional gap for power poles, because that's important. And we just keep placing these in. And we're not going to have enough to do all of this, apparently. So that we'll have to, I guess, wait for additional shipments from Vulcanus, which should be perfectly fine. So let's get these power lines up over this way, and then get another drone port, because that's going to need to be placed in. Okay, so next up, we are going to want walls around this. So let's get this just a little bit taller, and then rotate this around. And start covering over this way. And this needs to go out to like pretty much another bit further like that. So now this row comes down and it's almost covered. Just need to get this part in and then fill in the corners. Alright, so it's something like that, and we're gonna have to get rid of all these annoying trees before we can see exactly what's going on. So then we need to, wait, no, those ones are all powered, so we don't need to put more power poles in there. Instead, we need to fit the power poles in that row and in that row. And that should get those all powered up. Then we get belts connecting all these up. 1, 2, 3. I guess let's fill in this last little chunk in here. Alright, I believe that should have the entire patch covered. If not, then very close to it. Alright, so now we just have to bring these belts together and get it all attached up. And get rid of all these stupid trees so that I can see what's going on. Alright, trees, please leave me alone. I really need the... Where is it? Actually, yes, the deconstruction planner that only deals with trees. This is what we need. Alright, so let's just clear all that stuff out. And all those ones out. You can leave a couple of them just outside, but it's fine. These walls didn't get connected up properly. So let's just get that in. Then we need to merge these guys down to a single belt. Like that. And like that. And then we just need to set up the train tracks to get this belt out. And actually we're going to need to have enough space for it. And we're apparently going to need another drone port down in that corner. So let's get that in. So then we need... Let's make sure the train track is sort of down here where we should have enough room. Drag you along to there. and start setting this up. So you get a train stop in there. And let's get rid of some more trees. There we go. I can see what I'm doing again, which is quite handy. Now we need someone to actually put that train stop in. Okay, then this is going to need a turnaround. So we're going to need something like that, which will be just fine as it is. Then we're going to need to connect this up to here, which, of course, I really dislike that this whole giant thing is diagonal, but it'll be fine. So we just need... Let's just like grab a bit there and then curve you out. Grab a bit there, curve you out. I don't know, something like that. So what direction do these signals go? They go down. Okay, so that is the right bit. So this connects over to that. Then this connects into that. And then we just need to get this stuff up going the other way. So how does that work? I feel like I've built this backwards, but How do we connect into this front side? You need to go like down that way. You need to go up that way, and oh boy, the signals for this probably are going to need to be rebuilt. Which, okay, that one needs to go. I think that one probably needs to go as well. Then, how does this work? We need a chain signal here. And we need a block signal down here. And we need a block signal out here. And a chain signal in there. And I don't know, hopefully that is everything that we need. So now that that is set up, we can just go back to here and get this mining done. So you just go like this. And then we just have to split this one belt into 4 and connect them up. Okay, we want boxes though. That's important. So you get boxes there. And why are you like this? You go like that. You get boxes here. Alright, so this whole thing needs to be shifted back a little bit. So let's move you back to there and just overwrite some of those walls. So then that leaves more space to do stuff like this. And like this. Actually, this needs to be one more over. And then you go down like that. You go across a little and across like that. Then we put our boxes in. And I don't know why I did it like this. This is kind of a dumb way of doing it, but whatever. That extra belt doesn't need to exist at all. But it's not going to break anything, so I'll leave it so then we just get power poles into all of these and connect the power poles up to the back there. Now this gets set to iron source. And we just have to get all the rest of these belts placed. And okay, so yeah, power is connected to the inserters. So once all these belts get built, we will have a new supply of iron ore, which should hopefully be enough. And we need to look at these guys, which are bringing big mining drills. So we have big mining drills on the way, and we have, or at least we should have, a request for 20 big mining drills. So that should get finished off in a reasonable time frame. And here we are. Alright, let's get the refueler in, just because every stop should have it, just in case. Alright, so that is that. And now we just have the last little bit, and this train stop is entirely functional. Very nice. Alright, so that should help with the iron supply. It probably won't, like, single-handedly solve it forever, but it should be a good, solid source of iron ore once it gets going. And I'm going to have to monitor. This might need to be upgraded. So just like this portion in here, where everything all merges up, I think that needs to be faster. So let's get that in. And it's just going across as fast as it can, basically. This one is filled up already. These ones are still going. Alright. I mean, that's fine. Apparently we need even more drone coverage in this area because the drone ports don't cover very far to get that refueler working. Alright. So that has left. Not entirely sure why, but it can do that. So now this stuff all gets to just spend some time pre-filling in expectation for that train to return. And now we get a train full of iron ore over to here. And off it goes. Alright. Does this need to be upgraded any? This might need to be upgraded. Let's get those to blue belts at least. It'll make it marginally better. I'm not sure how much of a difference that's ultimately going to make, but it's not exactly a huge cost. Alright, so that. We now have iron plates going out. And this makes 0.34 grenades per second, but is, yeah, so it's limited by the iron plate supply, which is starting to become fine. So 0.34 grenades per second is not enough to run all of these, so I guess we'll just get another one on. It's just coal and iron plates. Should be able to find that. Let's see if we send some of these belts underground. So that can be an underground belt. That can be an underground belt. That actually just make them line up perfectly. So that and that. And then we get this iron plate belt is actually just barely not aligned correctly for this. But we should be able to fix that, maybe? Okay, wait, no, I have a better idea. We can put you there and then grab iron plates from this underground belt. Yeah, that works. Alright, so you all get attached up. You get your settings and your speed modules. I guess we're not doing productivity here. And let's get another power pole in there to fill that up. Alright, so now we just need to get this grenade output over to here, which again shouldn't be terribly difficult. Just need you to come down to here. We need this belt to go underground again. And you go like that. And problem solved. Alright, so that should provide us with the grenades that we need for this. So now we're looking at 0.68 grenades per second, which 0.4, 0.56, which should be just marginally more than we use. That should give us a solid supply of military science. At least solid relative to what we were producing. Okay, Vulcanist support is here. And it seems to have delivered the big mining drills. Which means that Novice should be sending them over. Although for some reason it didn't see all of them. Where was that? That was this one here. Okay, no, they did all get sent. I guess it probably just took like multiple trips or whatever. That sort of thing can happen sometimes. Alright, Vulcanist Support 2 is here as well. It doesn't seem to have any cargo of particular interest. Vulcanist Support 1 has turned around and left. Okay, so that's all going just fine. Looks like we did get a little bit of belts. Alright, so that is going. Science production is spiking dramatically. Presumably because of the military science fix. Now let's look back down at our uranium. And we have some spare uranium fuel cells, which is pretty great. So now our power is gonna be fine. The steam turbines can produce a ton of power. And we should also, let's limit that a little bit. Alright, they're taking all the uranium fuel cells, which I guess makes sense. So those go up to here to keep these guys fueled. And eventually that will backlog. Shouldn't take all that long even. Alright, so yeah, this is going. These ones still don't have... Okay, that's weird. These guys don't have enough to run round the clock, despite the fact that this one did a couple of cycles. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it's probably fine. Okay, so then these guys... Oh, this might be the cause. If these guys produced some uranium-235, then that probably is responsible for it. So yeah, we're just keeping a stable amount of uranium-238. And then... Okay, then another thing... I think we need another... We need fuel reprocessing. Just to get rid of that excess stuff. So that is going to output to this belt up here, I guess. Yeah, let's do that. So you go here. Your output nuclear fuel reprocessing to there. And then you are going to take from a belt, just in case we need more of these, which will take the uranium fuel rods, or depleted uranium fuel cells. So we just pop that in, get you powered up, and you take from there, and that's all there is to it. And yes, that should just be all clear. And should prevent us from getting too much of that stuff built up. Alright, so that goes there. And now we have some depleted fuel cells on the way. And it's all good. Just need that power pole, and that's that. Alright, so that's basically the nuclear processing stuff more or less finished for the short term. It looks like whatever got through here was just a bit of a fluke, but it should... The fact that that fluke even happened means that we should be getting close to having a steady supply of uranium-235. So that's good, obviously. And now we can just sort of leave that to do its thing. The atomic bomb is just about researched, which I think takes uranium-235, so we're not really going to be able to do all that much with it. Okay, our artillery production has no explosives. What is going on with that? Explosives are short sulfur. Okay, atomic bomb researched. Very cool. Next up, let's see. I guess we do physical projectile damage, because we do have, like... Actually, that's probably not artillery shell damage, but physical projectile damage is always useful. Alright, so the atomic bomb is explosives, processing units, and 100 uranium-235. That's not surprising at all. Okay. So yeah, we can launch some uranium ammo with rockets, which is what we're going to be doing. We can't launch nukes with rockets, which means we would have to craft them on site, I guess. Okay, this attack is very, very close to actual machines. So let's just push that out a little bit further up this way. Just for a little bit of buffer zone between something terrible happening and losing our red circuit production. Which, by the way, red circuits seem to be full. Green circuits still a bit desperate. But they are running at full production speed, so that's fine, I guess. Alright. So everything with that is okay. The power grid is suddenly fine with the steam turbines being able to just go crazy whenever we need them to. And let's see here, the sulfur. Right, we had that explosive problem which I got distracted for. So the explosives aren't getting any sulfur, or at least not nearly enough. The sulfur isn't getting enough petroleum gas. So the petroleum gas is connected to this. And it's not getting enough crude oil. Right, so that one's getting fluid ingredient shortage. Yeah, they're all getting fluid ingredient shortage, actually. That might... Yeah, that's probably going to cause a plastic shortage as well, pretty close down the line. So where is our crude oil source? Is it just this? Or do we have some train somewhere bringing in more? So we can grab crude oil from up there if we need to. Although, is there really no... Yeah, let's check just like a random train thing. We do have crude oil sources and destinations via train. I just don't know where it is. It's here. Okay. So we've got this thing down here, which is our main supply of crude oil at this point, I guess. And yeah, so these two sort of work sort of equivalently. So we need more crude oil. And in order to do that, we just need to find another convenient crude oil patch. Again, I prefer it to be sort of down in this sort of area over here, like this one, for example. We can just go up there, grab that. Apparently this artillery gun just doesn't even have drone range to get reloaded, so let's fix that. And then we need to expand this out. So this is a stone mine, which hardly ever does anything, but technically exists. Alright, let's just be a little bit lazy here. So instead of creating a whole new thing, we can just have this sort of branch off, loop around something like that. And are we... I didn't mean to click that button. Alright, so yeah, the oil patch is right there. So we just need this to sort of loop back in like that. And that would be fine if we get some signals on. Alright, so rail signals. We're going to get a signal there. And you have a signal already. So then we're going to need a signal there. And we're going to need to remove that one. And then what is this going to look like? You are going to need a signal there. And actually, these are intersections, right? So you need to be a chain signal. You're going to want a chain signal. You're going to want a chain signal. And then we're going to want block signals coming out, which I think can be closer. So just a signal like that, and then a little bit along that way, signal up there, signal there, signal in there. Alright, that should be enough signaling, probably. So now we need to get drone coverage out to here. Are these powered? Yes, technically. Alright, I guess that using those is an option, but I don't think we will take it. I think we're just going to run the power line out from that. So that should get that whole area covered. And Alright, you're shooting at those guys over there. Alright, if those guys can figure out how to get all the way around this giant inlet thing, then they deserve it, honestly. I'm just going to assume that they're not going to figure that out. Alright, so this is all set up. So now let's get the train signal in. So you go there. And okay, they did figure it out. Good for them. I say good for them, they're about to get zapped, but, you know, it's the thought that counts. Okay, actually, they have decided to go after our rails, which is quite rude. Okay, well, that's rude. We're just gonna have to... Okay, there are more of them incoming. I mean, eventually they'll get bored of attacking the rails and move closer, and then they get zapped. Yeah, that happened to most of them. Okay, we just need to, like, move this just up there randomly so that we have enough range to cover them from trying to do that. And yeah, so this... The fact that the area I'm building is going to be under constant biter attack because of artillery retaliation is a little bit annoying. But not the end of the world. Alright, so that is dealt with. So, I guess with that in mind, we're going to want to build the walls up pretty quickly. So let's figure out where the pump jacks need to go just to get an idea of the dimensions of this thing. And they're going to be like there, 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 and there. Is that all of them? Yeah, that's all of them. Alright, so we are going to need a drone port out that way, which is going to need to be powered. And then we're going to need some laser walls, which are going to have to go just in this whole area and get rotated correctly, and just a little bit more of this stuff, and something like that. Alright, so if that can all get built before another biter attack comes, at least some of the lasers are in, so it should be mostly secure. Here comes giant swarms of walls. Alright. So yeah, this area should be at least, like, secure against basic biter attacks. We might need to add additional fortifications to it, but we'll figure that out when it shows up. Alright, so this is good. Now we just need to get that pumped into the trains. So we need these. Wait, we don't need 3 of these per car. We need 1 of them per car. I forgot that pumps are very, very different from inserters. They're quite fast. Alright, so now we just have to get all the little connections up. So this comes along here, goes through a hole in the wall, and now we just connect you up to all the pump jacks. And there we go. And then over to that one. Alright, so now we just need the power poles. So that's powered, that one's powered, those 2 are powered, and that one's powered. Alright, now we just need to get the pumps powered up. like that, and like that. And that should be cleared. Let's just get some storage tanks in here, because that's always useful to have some of those, just so that the oil can accumulate when there aren't trains here. Alright, so now we just call you crude oil source number 3. And let's see how much of this is working. It is technically producing. Pipes are starting to fill up. And alright, so that should be that. Now we just need the actual physical train, which is going to go there and there, and you're going to need a refueler. So you get a refueler, and we're going to need to craft all those things manually. So let's get a train and some wagons, and then we just have to plop those down. Alright, so the train goes in past the provider chest to get picked up, and then we're just going to have to wait a little bit for the wagons to finish. But that should be fine, as long as it doesn't get hit by biters in the near future. We're also going to need to wait for it to fuel up a little bit. Alright, so that is that. And all the crafting finished. So there you go. And now we should be able to give this settings preemptively, right? We should be able to go into you. Okay, this train is somehow preemptively set to oil. Wait, is there just like a train here? Okay, there's... maybe? It's not entirely clear. I mean, they're pumping the oil into something. Yeah, okay, there's literally just like a train in the stop doing its thing, which is preventing me from building another train directly on top of it. That's funny. I've never seen that before. Alright, it's fine. Obviously, it's not gonna break anything to just have a train here for the next 2 minutes or so. Alright, the refueling is set up, and the cars are all here. Alright, let's send that train along. What? No, stop. What have you done? It connected that stuff onto the Alright, that's kind of insane. Alright, you can move on, and we're just going to have to reassign this. So you get a train there. And 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. And what do you mean we don't have any of those? We definitely do. Okay, it's probably going to have to like take them back to a storage chest and then register them as existing. And that, yeah, so it's going to have to take this back to a storage chest, register that it exists, and then bring it out to here. So that's a little bit of inefficient use of time, but again, not really a concern. Alright, we have a good chunk of uranium ammo now. We can tell that to stop. We have a good chunk of cannon ammo as well. We can tell that to stop. We are, because of all that ammo that we've been producing, we are sort of at the point where the military science might have almost gotten starved. So this needs 0.56 ammo production. How much do we actually have? And where is it? It's down here. And it's like 0.5, but we can easily upgrade that by just making you Mark 3s. Physical projectile damage increase. Let's go. Let's see. What else do we want? I guess. Let's see. That's kind of we're kind of at the point where some of this stuff is getting very expensive. Let's take an artillery shell damage. I'd like to get to the point where we can one-shot nests and that sort of thing. That would be nice to have. Alright. So that's going. And the physical projectile damage increase means that these cannon shells and stuff, it's going to go absolutely crazy. How much damage is this? 2k plus 8.4k. Yeah, that's going to hurt to get hit by. That's for sure. So, the explosives are mostly working, except for when they're short on sulfur. Right, so this was the whole petroleum gas shortage problem from earlier. So that is just going to have to get fixed. I'm going to have to fill up this whole giant tank of sulfuric acid as well, but it should be mostly fine now. We are getting some stuff through. And we have this whole additional train, which... It happened again. Are you kidding me? Are you absolutely joking? Okay, that's annoying. I guess technically it's fine, maybe? Yeah, no, it's done it again, and it's trying to just attach stuff. Just stop doing that. Okay, just, like, dismantle all those. You can move on. And let's just change the name of this stop so it loses an E. That's apparently what we're going to need to do to stop random trains from showing up and breaking this whole system before we get it built. Alright, so we have that in. Now we shouldn't have random trains showing up. And then we're just going to have to change that typo back. Alright, so that is ultimately fine. Alright, so now we need to start really buckling down on getting to Gleba. So Gleba support, we need you to go to Novice and wait there until passenger is present. Is there any way of making that a top priority thing? It's hard to say. But it'll be fine. Actually, what's the transport platform looking like? It's got a lot of stuff on it. I might just take the transport platform and leave Gleba's support to just do its thing. Alright, so transport platform, you need a little bit more storage space, which we can fill in like that. Why is it doing it like that? We need a little bit more storage space. Let's just get that in. And that should launch pretty much instantaneously, because we haven't been doing much launching otherwise. Alright, so that's going. Artillery shell damage is upgrading. And then, once those are launched, we need to just bring basically everything imaginable with us. Like, we just need to bring an assortment of everything that we could ever want. because we're going to need to rebuild the planet. And then let's also add on... we can take those ammunitions out and add in... what, like... 200 uranium ammunition and like 100 uranium cannon shells. And that should, in theory, we have a tank up here already, and 100 regular cannon shells. So with all that stuff, we should be good to go back. Alright, so that should all be fine once we get it set up. And we're just going to have to wait for a whole bunch of launches to happen. But we have probably enough cargo space now to manage all of it. So that is going. We're receiving more stuff from Vulcanus, and apparently just immediately launching some of that. Alright, so that is fine. Now, how's our nuclear stuff going? Nuclear stuff is going well enough that these actually need to be bulk inserters, so that's a good sign. At least, well, they kind of need to be bulk inserters. It's unclear how helpful that is exactly, but it's something. So we have 50 spare right there, and this is just continuing to loop around, which is a pretty good thing to have happen. So eventually we're going to have plenty of spare uranium-235, and then we won't have to worry about this at all. We can just use it. For now, though, we have this to deal with. And our centrifuge up here, which is doing the recycling, seems to be doing perfectly fine. Okay, now we're losing some solar panels. What's happening in here? Okay. So the bad news is that that's not really where I want those fighters to be. The good news is they seem to be heading directly towards some laser turrets, which should deal with them. Yeah, they must have gotten antagonized by this artillery turret somehow. Alright, so this area just needs some laser turret coverage and some walls. So we can just get that in, and that should protect us in the future. And apparently this guy is just sitting here being annoying, so let's just get a random laser turret in there with him. Okay, no, not necessary. Alright, so this should be all clear now. So that is that. And the 235 is flowing, and actually, yeah, we've managed to get this whole thing output full, which means the uranium-235 is going to back up now, which is pretty awesome. Alright, so transport platform, how are you doing for your launching? You are receiving all sorts of parts. It's sort of slow going. It's fine by me. That can take its time. Now, how is our artillery ammo doing? We've got 1, and we're still mostly short on explosives. So yeah, we're mostly short on explosives for the artillery. That might be because this whole system hasn't gotten trickled through yet. Because right now we have enough crude oil. At the exact present moment we have plenty of crude oil. But the sulfuric acid supply is actually going down. that's concerning, obviously. So as far as petroleum gas supplies, it's looking fine. Yeah, I think we're doing okay here. It's just going to take a little bit before all this stuff fills back up to a point where it's good. We have crude oil seemingly everywhere we would need it to be. And that's coming from here. Actually, these are pretty low. And we only have 2 train. Right, I didn't set up this guy. So this is a pretty well-filled train. We're going to add that E to the end so that you are one of multiples of those. And we're going to add you to the oil group and set you to automatic. So you are just going to continue filling up. And okay, the other thing which we realistically should do is figure out how modules work on these. So let's have you productivity moduled and you speed moduled. Okay, the numbers are going to be different. Okay, actually what we can do, we should be able to just beacon these, right? So that we don't have to worry about which one's which. Also, it looks like we forgot one of them. You need to be connected up. There we go. Now let's just get beacons out here. So those can all do speed modules. And are they all powered? Probably not. So let's just make sure that they are. Alright, so the modules are going in, and the speed beacons will also go in, and then this should provide a whole lot of crude oil. Still have no idea how that system actually works for outputs like this. So so this is all getting drained into these. This is gonna leave, okay. Big biter attack coming right through this area. Okay, it looks like they're mostly ignoring the trains, but I don't want to bet on that. So let's just get a, where are you, laser wall. And just get this area covered. Like that, so that the train with all of our precious oil on it doesn't get hit constantly. And it looks like there's another attack wave coming in right as this is in the middle of construction. But it was kind of a wimpy attack wave, so that's all dealt with. And now we have our defenses to protect that. Alright, problem solved. Problem solved, and now these guys are producing a whole lot of oil per second. I don't know what the expected resource thing is, 26 per second. Is that just like what it would look like without any buffs? I guess. Alright, regardless, that is all set up and a good supply of oil. Alright, so how is the transport platform going in terms of supplies? It's got a whole bunch of belts, a whole bunch of solar panels and accumulators. What are we missing? We are missing the ammunition stuff, we're missing the assemblers, the mining drills, which are not so important on Gleba, and some power generation stuff. Yeah, we're still missing a fair amount of stuff. But we are getting it there. I don't know what the concrete is for. Don't know what the concrete is for. I'm sure it's something important. Okay, over here on our science, what's the limiting factor? It's still military science. And is that producing at full capacity? No, now we're short on walls. Alright, how are we short on walls? You aren't getting any stone bricks, that's why. Because these are just hilariously bad Mark 1 belts. That's part of it anyways. It also looks like part of it is that these guys need to be moduled. Alright, so let's get this. Let's see here. Do we really need to upgrade this whole line just to get this set up? Let's start with the productivity modules and beacons. So these ones which we're removing, get these out. And then we put in beacons, productivity modules, and speed modules. There we go. So those are now all set up. I don't know why there's like a single coal on this belt. Probably not important, but it very well might be. Alright, so now the speed modules are in, and the amount of stone bricks that we can have is going to go up once these get their modules, which is taking weirdly much longer for some reason. Alright, there it is. So now we're getting 1.4, so that's like 3-ish between those two, 4.5-ish between those three. So we're getting like 6-ish stone bricks, which is not enough for this to run at full capacity, but it's reasonably close, I guess. Now let's upgrade this stone line so that it can keep up with that, because that seems like it's an issue. Alright, so that gets upgraded. This gets upgraded all the way back to there. And then this is all a blue belt, so it should be fine, in theory. Alright, yeah, the stone bricks are getting through. It's just a matter of the actual production rates at this point. So that's okay. Can we? I assume not. Nope. We cannot productivity module you because walls are technically an end product, even though that's not what we're using them for here. Alright, well, that's basically all that we can do for now. Let's just upgrade those last couple belts just so that it doesn't look dumb. Alright, and that's going to be basically all we can do for our military science in the short term, aside from just adding more wall production elsewhere, obviously. Alright, so, transport platform. How are you doing now? Look at all this stuff. Can you just send the metallurgic science down? Don't need that. And we're going to remove that from the list of things that we want as well. Alright, so that clears up a lot of space. Now, as far as all the rest of this stuff goes, I don't know about the quality modules. Seems a bit weird to me, but yeah, so let's see, most of this stuff is still kind of important. Like, I don't know exactly what we're going to need. Our main priority is setting up the combat-based stuff up there. So, like, the ammunition we're going to need to send up. And that is, of course, not gone up just yet. It's going to take a bunch of rockets to do so, which is possibly why it's been delayed. Okay, Vulcanist support. You have a lot of stuff in you for only halfway through. Is that intentional? How's Vulcanist doing? Vulcanist seems to be mostly doing fine. We're still short on red circuits everywhere. But we might have actually gotten some speed modules through. Alright. Yeah, Vulcanist is just doing its thing as usual. No concerns there. Let's see here. Our power situation with the steam turbines is good enough that we don't need that whole chunk of steam engines. That's just like shoveling coal into being destroyed for no reason. And also solid fuel, which we're short on. So let's chop that off. Then we had another rocket fuel powered system up here, which I also think we might want to disable. So we're going to take all that out because it looks like we might actually just not have the rocket fuel for launches at this point. And we have big reserves in most of these boxes, so it's not so bad at least. But it could be a problem, and I'd rather it not be. Vulcanist support 2 is over Vulcanist, which means that we should have a whole lot of coal. Yeah, it's got like 3,000. So this is how we keep this planet up and running, with constant deliveries of coal from space. Now, Novice is doing fine. If we look down here, we're starting to fill up a box of uranium-235. So we might need to put more circuit logic in here to stop cycling stuff into uranium-235 if it's just going to fill up. For now, obviously, that's not really a meaningful worry, but it could conceivably become one. Alright, so that is all good. The transport platform is getting there. Okay, we don't need the steam engines and boilers. We have the heat exchangers and steam turbines, which are just much better. So we can remove those from the list. A lot of this stuff we want to be imported from elsewhere, so we don't even need to remove it. Yeah, it's probably going fine. Now, are these rocket launches being limited by anything other than just the speed of launching? I think they aren't, so let's actually just get... Is that a good idea? Yeah, it's probably fine. We're going to want more of this stuff in the long term anyways. So let's get you all set up. And beacon. Actually, these guys only have one beacon each. So yeah, that's fine then. You can just have one beacon each too. And then let's get all that powered up. And now we need our productivity modules in there and speed modules in there. So this, as long as we have the resources to launch things, this should give us more launch capacity, which will be marginally helpful for getting stuff like this done quickly. Of course, if we end up running out of low density structures or something, then it's not going to work. Like the rocket fuel being the limiting factor here might come back to bite us. Actually, does this have... Yeah, transport platform has a bunch of rocket fuel requested. We don't actually need that. So let's chop that off and send some of that rocket fuel down. So that should help us keep things going. And then our rocket fuel supply is not going into these turbines anymore. It's just simply going to launching some rockets. Alright, so that's all good. That's all good. Do we have more rocket fuel in this? Yes, technically. Yeah, so we used to be doing this. We very much don't need to be doing that anymore. Okay, this is a weird number. Don't do it like that. You can be just 200 to 200, I guess. Okay. Whatever. That's fine. It's all good to go. And the transport platform is getting the heat pipes and heat exchangers next. So that will be another thing dealt with. Gosh, I forgot how insanely long it takes to get anything done here. Alright, so the rockets are going. We've got another one launching there. So now we have, what, 4 rockets, which is much better. Now, our nuclear stuff down here, still working, nothing funny business going there. We actually have enough storage of uranium-235 that we might be able to do something fun with it. I don't know, what options are there even? Nuclear fuel? I guess that's something that we are legally allowed to do. I don't think I'm interested in that, though. Okay, this corner down here keeps getting hit. Probably retaliation. Yeah, there's artillery coming in. Alright, that's fine. Everything looks like it's going fine. The artillery supply is still short on explosives, though. So the fact that that hasn't recovered is a bit worrying. I guess this sulfuric acid needs to build up before we can get anywhere with that. So this has plenty of stuff. It is beaconed. So yeah, this is going pretty fast. It's just not quite fast enough. Our explosive supply needs 0.69, which is apparently not possible. So we could productivity module this for the short-term benefit. Can we... Okay, it is already speed moduled. So yeah, this is just going as fast as it can, basically. And we need... Let's see, if we need coal, sulfur, and water, I guess we could productivity module this and just add a couple more on. And that would be fine. Like, if we just do, you know, you, grab from there, make explosives, and request some sulfur. And then you are going to be productivity moduled and speed beaconed, which we can just fit the speed beacon in wherever, somewhere like that. And then that whole area gets power poles. So you are 0.41 with the modules. When the beacon goes in, what will that look like? Oh, and you need to then output as well. So let's get that set up. Just a couple. Alright, so you are 0.94 with the modules. So yeah, adding that in does increase the overall amount of production. And we're just going to swap you over to productivity modules. So now we're more efficient and faster in total. So that should be a big improvement there. So now we have 0.94 each. And it's just going to be a question of that working. Should improve our amount of explosives for this, and we should actually technically have enough to run this round the clock now if everything is running properly, which obviously it currently is not. So that should help with the artillery ammunition, which is now stockpiling. So we have 13 of those, which means that we should like have some stockpiles in all the rest of these places as well. Alright, we seem to have gotten ahead of the curve on the artillery ammo. So is there anywhere where it's like awkwardly close? Yeah, this place over here could use a gun. So let's just pop you in somewhere like that. And then let's make sure that this is fully secured with extra thick walls and a couple extra laser turrets. Alright, that should be fine. That should be enough. And a little bit more coverage against spiders there. I kind of want just like a turret outpost in this area so that this whole area is denied from the biters. Yeah, let's do that. Let's bring a power pole over this way somewhere and bring drone coverage with it. So somewhere like that, hopefully should be spaced correctly. And we're missing walls because of the military science being wall limited. That's actually a concern. Alright, so let's see here. Our stone is coming from this belt all the way across here. And if we just get a giant row of electric furnace beacons in here. So we do something like that. You get inputs, and then we get modules, and modules, and you get outputs, like that. Alright, I don't know what these guys are all doing, probably some experiment that I was running at some point. Alright, but now we just copy paste this a bunch of times. So we have something like that, and then we get into substations. So the substations just sort of have to blanket this area and then get connected in to power pole around that way. So that should provide us a lot of stone once it gets all powered up. So now this provides our stone bricks, and we can then take that, and actually let's just like wrap them around these substations, go this way, and then we can make walls out of them. This is probably designated too much space for that, but it's fine. We're only gonna need like 2 or 3 of these, right? Because of how insanely quick they are. Right, so then you guys get bulk inserters, and then bulk inserters to passive provider chests. And this whole thing is within substation range, so that is that. Alright, so this is actually just not going to be enough for even one of these assembly machines. And the walls go fast. Alright, so that is in. And hopefully that will provide us even more walls. And we just need to work on the output for this. So let's see, the walls ultimately go into the military science over here. And we don't need that many walls, actually. So I should be able to do this. This should be fine if we get you outputting to there. And putting some walls onto that belt. So that should get the military science going even faster. And hopefully will leave us with enough walls to actually build stuff with walls. That would be cool. Alright, where was that we just built that? In this area? Okay, these guys need a drone port. So apparently they're in a tiny little dead zone, because of course they are. Why would they ever not be in the world's smallest dead zone? Alright, good news is that this should now flood us with plenty of stone walls. So that is that. These are all getting pickup requests. Alright, cool. Transport platform is... Okay, so the only important thing here are the laser turrets, which are showing up. Alright, let's move over, because I think it's about time that we are going to be headed to the actual... We're actually going to be heading to Gleba now. So we've done a lot of prep. We have a lot of stuff ready for this. So let's go over here. I never told you to actually do anything. I forgot. But that's fine. So let's slam down a couple passive provider chests. Turn off that. And throw all of my personal inventory into some boxes. And there we go. And I think we also have to empty out the ammo slots like that. And we are going to go to transport platform. And off we go. Alright, now we're going to take the transport platform to Gleba and see what it's going to take to get things up and running there. I don't know. I mean, I assume everything has been completely leveled, but I don't actually know that for certain. So we're going to have to go there and find out if anything remains. And we're probably going to need to send the transport platform back and forth a bit to make some additional trips. Okay, wait. Well, there's one thing which we definitely need, and I don't know if we have, which is a cargo landing bay. Yeah, let's send some of those up here real quick. And hopefully... Because we're going to need that just to organize all the stuff that we're going to be dropping down. Wait, no, we do have one. Okay, that's fine. We have one of those. Let's head out. I said go to Gleba. Are we moving? We are not moving. Okay, it just took us a little bit. I guess the engines had to warm up or something. Who knows? But yeah, we're off to Gleba now. And that can go. In the meantime, you can be set to do automatic requests from space platforms now. That's fine. So that's all set up. Our rocket fuel stocks are still pretty bad. Which I don't love to see that. How much do we have? Yeah, we have no spare rocket fuel at the moment. So in order to do another big rocket launch thing, we're going to need to get that sorted out. Which hopefully shouldn't be too bad. So this is getting hit by biters as expected. That's never going to change. Okay, so then we have this thing here which I was working on. So let's expand that out to there and bring the power lines along with it. Alright, so then this, we're going to need to go a little bit further to get nice and central for our artillery turret box area. So just like another one or two of these. Which, it's very hard to tell how exactly things are going to line up, but like if we just go out one more, it should be all functional. So I want to just have an artillery in here to deny the biters access to all of this internal area here. That should save me a lot of work. Alright, so this comes out to there. And now I should have somewhere in here. No, it's not the turret box. It's not the self-loading gun. Is it? It's the artillery outpost, yes. So we have this. This is not how I would design it these days, but it's probably close enough. So we're just going to build it to overlap with that. Actually, we can actually push it just a little bit further into the center over here, I guess. So that goes there. Power lines connect up. And now that is gonna... Okay, how's the power going? Power is going fine, it looks like. It's not quite as good as it was since those additional steam turbines are off, but still doing okay. This roboport is getting most of it built, except for like arguably the most important part, so that's actually pretty bad. How's the nuclear power going? Only half of the nuclear power is running. Because we don't need the other half to, I guess. No, this should all run. Why are you guys not doing anything? I don't know. Weird stuff gonna be weird. Alright, we have a bunch of laser turrets built in, but not powered yet, which means that this area is pretty vulnerable to being hit. And meanwhile, we're 2/3 of the way to Gleba. So that's fine. Now we're building up a bunch of walls for no apparent reason. And a whole bunch of drones are heading in from this direction now. Alright, just someone get a power pole. Alright, cool. Power poles are in. And the drone port is in, and so the rest of this stuff has been assigned. We just need this power pole to get all of that set up. Alright, now we should be mostly well defended here. And it's just going to be a matter of, well, like the front row of laser turrets and the walls, and then getting the ammunition in. Alright, so the walls are coming. They're going to have to charge up. Obviously, don't want to get stuck. But that should be that. Alright, transport platform is above Gleba. Let's drop. Let's drop down. And this is going to be the thing which we're going to be focusing on for a while now, because they're... I mean, we might just land directly on top of a stopper or something. It's entirely possible. Alright, so... the good news is I'm immediately seeing there's a decent amount of stuff intact. And we have a cargo landing pad, which we can place. Yeah, it's not the best situation here, but they didn't destroy literally anything, which is frankly better than I was expecting. Alright, so let's go back up to the transport platform and just... okay, is this only able to launch like 3 things at a time, or... is Gleba just only able to receive like 3 things at a time because we don't have the cargo bay extensions or whatever? We need to get as much stuff down here as possible for building. So let's just deploy everything and worry about exactly what we need to be deploying and using later. Alright. So, this is going. I wish this were faster, but at least it's not super slow. So yeah, we can only actually drop so many things without the cargo bay expansions, which I guess let's queue some of those up as our next priority then. Alright, cargo bay expansions. Send some of those down. And some of this junk as well. Okay, so now we go back to Gleba. And we should have the cargo bay expansions in here somewhere. Hopefully. Are they just gonna... okay, let's grab some of this into our personal inventory. Where are the cargo bay expansions? Did they not land properly? I don't see them in here. Okay, they might be in some of these. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff getting dropped down here. Probably... alright. Well, now we're automatically rebuilding some stuff, which is something at least. Alright, we have the cargo bay expansion, so we can just do something like that. And that should let this accept the rest of... I mean, this is mostly just crafting material at this point, which is better than nothing, I guess. Alright, so we're back down to Gleba. And now we are going to have to figure out how to get all this stuff up and running again. And we do not have near enough of like anything to construct stuff. Let's try to run over to the solar panels to get some of those placed down. Because if we can get some power running, then that is going to be necessary to jumpstart the rest of the stuff. Now, okay. Can I check the spores map? Yeah, nothing. Okay, cool. So without any spores, we should be relatively clear to build, hopefully. As long as nothing gets restarted properly. Alright. So yeah, I don't really... alright, so we have the solar panels. So we have something resembling a power grid, but it's pretty bad. And we also... oh, I should have made a handheld nuclear reactor before doing this. Alright, let's go back to Novice, actually, and see if we can just craft one of those up real quick. And the transport platform has literally nothing on it, so you can go back to Novice. Because whatever you need to do, you're going to need to start by refilling. So let's get portable fission reactor, requester chest, and set that up to read ingredients, set requests, and output to a passive provider chest. Yeah, we only need literally one of these, so that should be fine. And then we get the inserter in and power line. Alright, well that will be helpful once it gets here, which is going to be a little while. Some of the drone ports are technically working, but for the most part, everything is just completely bricked. Okay, does Gleba support have anything of value that we can send down? Yes, actually it has biochambers. That's kind of huge, honestly. So we can get biochambers here. Okay, not Novice. We can get biochambers here to get some of that stuff going. Not enough logistics network space available. Okay, so that is unsurprising. We're just going to have to wait for that to all get fixed, basically. Alright, so we have our portable fission reactor. Do we have anything capable of making this trip nice and quick? Foundation crafter, technically. Alright, just to get this going, let's have foundation crafter request the portable fission reactor. And it only wants a custom minimum payload of 1. Just get that thing up here and traveling as quick as possible. In the meantime, let's do physical projectile damage. Alright, 2,381 entities are missing the material for construction. Yeah, mostly belts. Mostly belts, at least, so that's fine. And yeah, we need to get that portable fission reactor so that we can have power here, because personal solar panels are kind of terrible. Alright, foundation crafter. It's on the way. It's on the way to the space platform. And I think that's it right there. Alright, cool. Now you just need to go to Gleba for some reason. And just stay there, I guess. Okay, so Novice is still working. We should have more rocket fuel backlog now, so that's cool. Back over on Gleba. What can we do manually to get this going? I guess we can start... No, manually placing all this stuff is never gonna be the way to get done. Let's head down here. So this is the defenses area. It's mostly... Yeah, so all this stuff... We have rocket turrets. We have rocket turrets pre-built. We don't have any rockets. But if we can get... If we can get rockets going, then we can just immediately set up defenses. At least temporary ones. Alright, so the transport platform is still making its way back to Novice. Foundation crafter has started making its journey to Gleba. How much can I do right now without meaningful drones to do any construction? The answer is basically nothing. I mean, I guess I can stand up here buy the solar stuff so that when we get power, it can do some things. We had some things running. Beacons and roboports and accumulators. Yeah. Okay, so there isn't really much that I can do here. But I can... Really, the night vision goggles affects night vision on all planets, even in remote mode. That's annoying. Okay, well, ultimately not that much of an issue. So we want to craft some rockets back on Novice. And let's just get that all set up. So this is iron plates and explosives. Iron plates, check. And explosives, check. Alright. So that... Oh, it's within a substation. Good job. So that should get us a supply of rockets, which we can then use in the future. Alright. We have some of these belts built in, I guess, which is something. Okay, Gleba support, you need to just... Yeah, I think we just need like all the transport platforms we can get to help us here. We're going to want. So Gleba support, you are going to add weight condition, passenger present, and add weight condition, passenger present. So hopefully that will prevent you from just randomly leaving. Although this is going to cause you to randomly leave Novice, so... How do we add a weight condition like in the middle of this? Is that even possible? No, you... Oh yeah, we can do this. So we can do that. So that should... Alright, so we just arrange it like that, and this should never leave unless I'm on it, which I won't be. So that should be another one that I can control manually. Foundation Crafter is here, which means we can send the portable fission reactor down, which should be a massive improvement to doing things semi-manually here. Alright, did that get sent? It's just still on its way. Yeah, there it is. Alright. Portable fission reactor. Open this up. How much? Solar panel power, 270 kilowatts. Take those out. Pop the fission reactor in. We're going to have to rearrange this. And you are 750 kilowatts, which is better. I guess I'll fill this extra space with a couple of solar panels, just because. Alright, so now personal drones have some amount of power. So I should be able to run up here and... Nope, not happening. Why not? Personal roboport. Okay, yeah, so some stuff is getting placed now. Getting the solar panels in first, since that's sort of the power supply, which is going to bootstrap us into other power supplies. So that is going. And hopefully it just keeps going. Now, if we can get that drone port in, which I'm going to have to run around here to get close to it. And if we can just get this drone port in. Alright, so now we should be able to use the local power grid for drone stuff. And we have a couple of drones here. Let's give you some of each so that that can happen at least somewhat. Gosh, this sure is a whole lot of stuff that we need. Alright, but things are getting built, so progress is being made. It's just kind of slow. And our personal power grid is still not enough to like have drones go around the clock, which is a bit of a shame. Can we improve that at all? Let's see here. If we just like take out the exoskeleton, maybe that'll save 200 kilowatts, which is like a third. And obviously the roboports need to do their thing. Okay, yeah, let's temporarily take those out so that as much power as possible is just simply going into keeping the drones going. Now, this is also supplying drones to get stuff built. And all sorts of construction is going up. It's hard to tell how much progress is being made, but we are still getting the whole 3,000 entities are low on stuff, so that's not ideal. I can still optimize power even further by just filling all of that with solar panels, and hopefully that will help a little bit. Now, I shouldn't just be out of equipment. There should be plenty of space for all this stuff to get built. Yeah, I guess it's just like sort of weird about how it assigns things. So the drone network here isn't really doing much, which is, I guess, because the power grid doesn't reach all the way over to this area, which hopefully it will eventually, and we can get these passive provider chests doing things. What's all this stuff on the ground out here? Is this like stuff which couldn't get placed into this? Yeah, that's probably what it is. Alright, so we can just pick all that stuff up. So this is technically working. It says it's out of logistics network. There is a roboport right there, which obviously doesn't really have full power. So hopefully that gets through quickly. We did use up most. Alright, we can still place some solar panels and accumulators, so let's get up there to do that. Alright, up we go. And I have no idea if this is going to even remotely reboot successfully just simply by running around repairing everything. I suspect the answer would be no, but I would love to be proven wrong about that. So the power grid here is up to 8.3 megawatts. Somehow? Okay, no, it's showing 3-ish. So the solar panels are doing something. It's nowhere near enough. But we do technically have power in the factory. And we can just run around, get all this stuff built out, which is going to make the power demands worse. Ooh, our rocket silo actually lived. As did these provider chests with my personal inventory before I left the planet last. So that's actually fantastic news. So we can drain from that to get a whole lot of stuff done. And it looks like it's even using the logistics network to do that. Alright. So stuff is happening. we're getting a lot of construction done. The question is, how much more supplies are we going to need? And do we have the ability to get this functioning again once we have all the supplies? Or are we just going to be sort of stuck with, like, power bootstrapping issues where we don't have enough power to get the power systems running? We should be able to do something about that. Like, if we can get these steam turbines in, which we do have steam turbines. Alright, this should actually... There's some rocket fuel on this belt. So getting this repaired should actually kind of jumpstart the power system. Which means we want to deactivate those for now. We want to deactivate those for now so that we can hold off on using this stash of rocket fuel until we're actually ready to get things jump-started. Because I think this is going to be, like, the main trick to getting power going here. Yeah, we do not have anywhere near the consumption for that. Did we, like, miss a power armor upgrade? Yeah, we missed power armor Mark II. I should get that crafting. Alright, so you get to make power armor Mark II. And you get to do that trick, read ingredients, set requests, and then we get this set up. And hopefully that will get the Power Armor Mark II going. Okay, the carbon fiber box actually survived too. So that's great. Carbon fiber is one of the things that we kind of needed, or at least wanted, for getting stuff outside of Gleba set up. So if we could just, like, launch some of that carbon fiber, that would be huge. Alright, it's building stuff in sort of an incredibly sporadic order, which is fine, I suppose. Because yeah, we're just gonna need to get all of this built up bit by bit, and eventually, hopefully, we'll have enough intact that, like, I don't know, some of this stuff can run. We're going to need to be removing a whole bunch of spoilage from the belt, possibly. Although it might self-remove, who knows. Yeah, the power grid failure is definitely, like, one of the main problems here. We can't get much done. Alright, we have our combat stuff. Do we even need it? There is pentapod stuff down there and up there. We don't have a spore cloud, obviously, because this stuff is all broken. So we don't have to worry about attacks right now, I believe. It should be pretty safe until we get things turned back on again. Alright, the power comes in waves. It is getting there. Can I, like... Are the logistics bots even doing anything helpful? I don't think they are. Alright, so this... Just standing here like this isn't being very helpful. So, I think... Do we have, like, a supply of spoilage anywhere? Are there any of these that are just, like, completely filled to the brim with spoilage? No, it doesn't look like it. It looks like most of the spoilage we produced would have gotten have gotten burned previously. So what we're going to have to do is, if we just hold down F and run along these belts, we should pick up a whole lot of spoilage. At least a couple hundred for a start. And let's run along. This area is mostly connected with the power grid, so if I feed you with spoilage, are you even going to turn on? Are you even going to get enough to get started? Oh, we don't have water. Alright, we need that water pump to get built, which I don't know if we have. Do we have... Is water pumps one of the things that Gleba says are missing? Yes, offshore pumps are indeed missing. Well, let's grab some of that stuff and see if we can craft up an offshore pump or two. Alright, there we go. We have water. We have water again, and that doesn't require power. So, if we can get this reactor going, then that'll be that. So did I get rocket fuel at any point? Is any of this stuff just randomly rocket fuel? You rocket fuel? No. Yes, alright, we have a decent chunk of rocket fuel in there. Transport platform is still filling up. That's probably not good. Alright, we're going to try to do a bit of a preemptive jump start. So if we get you... I saw some inserters somewhere in here. Yeah, fast inserters. So we have some of those. And you go there. And you get rocket fuel. So this should get this batch of engines running, which should provide power. Now, I don't know if this will provide enough power, but it should at least be like a decent chunk, right? So, let's just see what happens there. Solar panels are running at full capacity, just keeping beacons and roboports running and nothing else. Now these are working and slowly turning on. And we have some spare rocket fuel in here, so that these should run for at least some amount of time. I really just want to see the power grids come to life and get stuff going. Temperatures 470, min temperatures 500, so this is almost active. Alright, so that's good. Now can I get some of these guys in? So my personal inventory isn't building things fast enough. But if I just put all this stuff into a passive provider chest, or two, so now we have, temporarily at least, enough power to run everything, which means that it's starting to work. It's starting to work. We have power, the accumulators are filled, the steam turbines have met all the satisfaction that we need them to. Alright, we just need this to last for a little while stuff gets built. And let's see here. Do we just not have... Yeah, we just need way more belts, probably. Like, the belts are the main thing that's missing. We're also missing a bunch of productivity modules and various inserters. But I mean, a lot of the non-belt stuff is up and running. And it didn't take that much rocket fuel to do. So, transport platform. You have how many belts? 1,100 total? Your satisfaction is 1,100 out of 1,100. It says you only are requesting 800, but who knows what that's about. Alright, you are going to just take those belts and go back to Gleba. Gleba support. We're going to want to load you up with a bunch of belts as well, probably. Just give you like 1,000 of the things. That should be fine. Alright, so what else do we need here? We need some crafting supplies in my personal inventory so that I can make some of those things, but that seems like we don't really have enough to do much there. The gun turrets and the power poles. Yeah, okay, those are probably all going to need to be imported as well for convenience, which we do have incoming. But we're going to put another 100 on Gleba support. The underground belts, we have 46 here. Transport platform has 150, so that should be enough. The two types of inserters, we've got some here. The heating towers, let's add those. So you get heating towers, and the gun turrets shouldn't really be necessary, but let's just send them up anyway. It's basically free. And storage chests, I guess. Where are those? There they are. And we're one biolab short, apparently. Alright, that's honestly not that bad. So now it's just the massive amount of belts. Oh, and the productivity modules. We're gonna want those. So you get to request, what is it? Oh, more than 100? So you can just request like 200 of those. And then we'll see how that works out. Back over on Gleba. So our power spike has died. That's fine though. We weren't really using it for all that much. Yeah, we were using it for actually just literally nothing. So that's fine. And then transport platform, do you have more? No, you don't have more rocket fuel on you. So we're gonna request another, just like 80 of that should be fine. So once Gleba support is loaded up, then we should be able to get all the rest of this stuff built. Oh, I do need to run around to various places to make sure that I'm not missing stuff like out this area. Which I almost certainly am, actually. So if we just run out to here. I don't have any drones on me. And how is that not connected up? There should definitely be enough overlap for this to be part of the same drone network. Oh, I didn't know that disconnected the drone network though. I mean, I like, obviously it's not powered, but like this one isn't powered either, but it's still connected to the drone network. Because this one just isn't. So I don't know what that's about. And there's, yeah, more stuff we're going to be short of up there, which we'll have to figure out later. We need these power lines mostly. And the solar panels are actually almost enough sometimes for the resting rate. So that's nice, I guess. Transport platform is almost here. Gleba support is still getting loaded up. Alright. Back on Novice, how are these things going? They all have the ability to launch, and we have... Alright, we have blue circuit problems, but they're sort of future-ish blue circuit problems. We do have some stockpiles. And it looks like it's running at full speed or close to it. It's just a matter of how little production we have here. So that's fine. Transport platform is just about here. So let's dump those and the belts and the underground belts. And I guess some drone ports just in case. I didn't think that was a problem, but it might be. Got the various types of inserters. And some pipes might be needed. Alright, now the drones are going, conveniently right after we ran out of power from the steam turbine. But they do still have some steam to run, apparently. A little bit. So hopefully that will keep this whole thing occupied while stuff gets built. And yeah, this... Okay, yeah, it seems like we might have just hit a problem. No, they just all stopped to charge all at once. Well, that's a bit terrifying, but the turbines, their last gasps are keeping us going here. So yeah, that's actually very efficient for getting this reboot done. Now we're mostly short on construction bots, which... Did Transport Platform have some of those? It did. There you go. Have some construction bots. Alright, so did those get set up? Actually, we have this thing which just automatically inserts the construction bots, right? So that should be useful. Alright. Now we're going again. And we're starting to run into resource shortages again, which is entirely expected. But we actually are we're doing pretty well, honestly. A lot better than I was expecting in terms of the rebuild. Of course, there's still a lot to go, which hasn't been assigned yet. We only have so many construction bots that can run at any given time. The number is 203. And it's kind of insane how much belts that is. We're about to run out of express transport belts, and once that happens, then it'll be a bit of an issue. How is Gleba support going on getting loaded up? We're at like 600 of those, and we're most of the way on the productivity modules, and everything else is going fine. But we've actually ran out of express transport belts on Novice, which is not surprising at all. We've been sending an insane amount of them over to Gleba. But it is annoying because it's obviously going to cause problems. Okay, so this up here, is it just complete? Why is there not even like an unconstructed power pole connecting those two? That should exist, right? I'm not sure why that doesn't exist. Alright, so now the rest of this stuff is basically back to mostly being dead. We don't have enough resources to build stuff, but it is going. The process is moving along. We just need another 1,000 or more belts, which we do not have. So back on Novice, our production of these is relatively slow. Our stockpiles are relatively small, which is not great. You are short gears. Alright. Why do we not have enough gears? It's the same problem as always. The belts, the machines are just not very fast. Alright, let's get... If we get you up there, and speed module you, that should reach down to these two to beacon them, and help with the gear supply a little bit. Alright, so that goes in, and then the speed modules go in. And now we have slightly faster gear production, which hopefully will be enough. I mean, the problem is we're constructing basically everything that we could possibly want, which means that like every resource is getting drained faster than normal. Okay, let's send Gleba support over, send transport platform back. So those two can switch locations. It's funny to see that all your belts are expresses while you didn't feel the need to make any. Okay, how do you not make any? Like, I can understand being more strategic about like where you use express belts where they aren't needed, but I can't imagine like not having any. They're just so incredibly good. Alright, up here, that attack is nothing to worry about. Although it is slightly next to the nuclear power plant, which makes it marginally more worrying, but still not a problem. Alright, so that's all good. Our rocket launch capacity is currently passive, which is fine because we were running low on blue circuits, right? Yes, we do not have the blue circuits to do everything we need. Oh, that's probably partially because of this. What are you... Oh, that needs to be connected. What you had at work, you wanted a design that works for speedrun, not all the high tech. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. For me, it's just convenient. Like, you don't have to think about belt speed as often if your belts are just fast to begin with. So it's just easier to spam express belts everywhere and not worry about it. Alright, our Power Armor Mark II is not super urgent. We don't really need that. Should be fine without it. I don't know how the steam engines are continuing to go. I guess they just, as long as there's any steam in there at all, they can continue to produce a little bit. And yeah, satisfaction is still somehow getting fully met. And Gleba support, right, Gleba support is real fast. It's got the old triple engine in the back, so that should be here any second now. And will let us do another burst of construction. And eventually, this will be good. Spaceships are working just enough for what was needed. Yeah, that's fair enough. I just like having fast belts, you know? Having the fast belts works well. It's funny, because in Satisfactory, I only ever use, like, the slowest possible belt that will work, but in Factorio I'm the opposite. Don't know why. Alright, let's launch all this stuff down. Get some of those. Some of those were needed, I believe. Alright, so that is that. And now we get to start having the drones go crazy again. And I don't know if placing all these productivity modules will even be remotely beneficial, because it's going to increase the power demands, which isn't really what I want. But, I mean, nothing's running anyways, so, like, you know, you increase the power demands from 0 to 0, like, who really cares? Alright, so that is going. They've taken all their belts out. And we do have another supply of rocket fuel for if this does give up. Yeah, which it is going to do. So let's grab this rocket fuel. Oh, I'm not in personal mode. Let's block over to here. Grab a couple stacks of rocket fuel. And in there. So that should get this up and running again. So the steam turbines, yep, steam turbines start up. And we have enough ability to charge up the drones and get everything working. Okay, now demand is up to like 20 billion. Okay, maybe we need to just put this in manually. Yeah, let's just put these guys in manually so that they don't have to run the inserters to get power through. Alright. Temperature is back up. Power is going again. And we're still like 500 belts short and 31 power poles. Did Gleba support bring power poles? Yes, it did. Let's get some of those down here. So at least that can get most things powered up properly. And then up here, this section still isn't connected to the drones properly yet. So we're going to have to get that up. This section down here is actually... Okay, well, the power is intermittent apparently. But it is actually intact. So that's cool. Okay, wait, did I just see that this stuff over here is running? How is that happening? Oh, you must have had built up heat somehow? Okay, I just have no idea how that happened. Because I shut the inserters off. And they definitely haven't gotten fuel from there. Yeah, who knows? That's a mystery. But, I mean, as long as it's producing power, I guess it's fine. We have tons of capacity now. And the power poles are all connected up. And... okay, this stuff up here did get reconnected. Which awkwardly means now we have spore clouds. But it's a very tiny spore cloud, so hopefully it'll be fine. Okay, so we need just a little bit more. We just need a little bit more, and then we need to figure out our defenses and then do the reboot. Alright, so transport platform is back here, and it is getting the transport belts. Did Gleba support get underground belts? It has some, yeah. Let's set those down so that those can get built up. And now the only things we're registering as missing are the belts and 4 biochambers. Which 4 biochambers? It's kind of hard to spot. I guess I can mouse over like this. And then it becomes even harder because of all the errors. Alright, so it's some of this stuff down here seems to be missing a biochamber. The science... No, that's just a beacon. That's not a missing biochamber. Okay. It's hard to tell exactly what's going on. But we are making some progress. We need 700 belts. This is set to request like 800. So if it would just not be requesting the pipes and power poles. Although I guess that just goes back to the problem of we don't actually physically have the belts to send. We have 95 of these guys, and they're still short on gear wheels. Alright, so how many... This thing can theoretically take 25 gear wheels per second. Alright, let's get a requester chest. Okay, apparently there's no power in that exact tiny little spot. So this requester chest is going to bring you as many gear wheels as the drone system can manage. And where are we getting those gear wheels? I don't know. But it's probably just up here. Yeah, so this isn't going to make a difference in the long run. But what we can do now is we can go up to here, just somewhere on our nice solid... Actually, we have molten iron somewhere down here, right? We've got plenty of that. Alright, let's get you in there, and you can cast gear wheels, and that'll be 6 per second at a default, which we should be able to accelerate a lot using modules. And then you are then just going to output to a passive provider chest. And I guess we will do that, and then you just get 20 billion speed modules, and we'll just see what that does for you. Alright. Just waiting on the foundries to be brought over. Which apparently is a bit of a slow process. We also are going to need to get power over all of these, so let's just pop some power poles in. And we'll see how all this works. This is going to be kind of funny. If it works the way I think it's going to. There are going to be diminishing returns on the beacons, but that's fine. Alright, so this is now running at 10 per second, which should drop a little bit when we get the productivity modules in, and then rise a bit more when all this stuff gets put in. Alright, so that is going. The old mass transportation of resources via drone system, which is really not what you want to be doing. Okay, now this over here, where is this? So the drones are all going to this box, which I guess is fine. Like, they can take from that box if they want. Now this is lubricant shortage, which the lubricant, where does that even get made? Over here. We've got this guy making 8 per second, which is nowhere near enough at the best of times, and then it's not got enough heavy oil residue. And the reason is we aren't burning enough petroleum gas. Alright, we need to find something to do with all the excess petroleum gas, I guess. Didn't we have, like, a system for that? Like... No, actually, I think I was thinking of on Vulcanus we have something like that. just like get rid of extra solid fuel. Alright, I guess we can just filter. I guess this will help us burn petroleum gas faster. Although, okay, we can also do that with these, right? Do these guys... No, these guys take light oil, which we're also short on because of the petroleum gas shortage. Okay, that's all a bit of a problem. So, can we get these guys? Okay, that's what we need to do. We just need to be smart about our light oil cracking, I guess. So we have too much petroleum gas, and we're converting light oil into petroleum gas. So we need a decider combinator. So you can go in there, and you are going to read... Okay, we need to just read... We need to output to all of these machines to tell them whether to run or not. And you need to just sort of connect across like that. And then we need to read how much petroleum gas we have and only make more if we need to. So let's get a storage tank in so that we can read that, and also the storage tank will also just help in the short term. So that goes back to there, and read contents. If how much does this go up to? This goes up to 25k. So if petroleum gas is greater than 20,000, output a big old nope sign. And then, okay, you get a power pole. And then these guys are enable, disable. So if nope is equal to 0, then they should run. Alright, so that should mostly do it. I'm not sure if that'll be quite perfect. We might need to make that a latch thingamabob, but it should help a little bit at least. Okay, Gleba support is here. Over Gleba, does it have anything left to deploy? Not really. Not really, so you can go back to Novice. Meanwhile, transport platform has 800 express transport belts. And so then we're just going to need to figure out how to get the 4 biochambers. And we're going to have to reboot the pentapod egg cycling, which is going to be a whole pain. But I think this might be enough. Alright, so we have... I want to send some excess over, just in case we find some area that needs more. Although we actually have the turbo transport belt, so maybe it'll be fine. Alright, so that is now over 100, which means it should be viable to launch. Let's just check these things. We have still not enough blue circuits. So that is still going to be a problem, but yeah, we're going to launch another stack of express belts, and then we're going to send them over. And back here on Gleba, nothing of interest is happening. Our spore cloud has actually shrunk slightly because we haven't done anything with this in a while. Alright. Things are honestly looking pretty good for reclaiming Gleba. We just need this to make it on over. Transport platform. It's got 800 with another 100 on the way. And I just heard a sound of a rocket. There we are. So that's 900. So once this makes it, we should have everything but the 4 biochambers that we're missing. And then we can see about getting stuff to actually move around on these belts again. Alright, so this is still somehow running. I don't know how that works. I don't know where it's getting the power from. I guess just from excess heat from when we did have rocket fuel on this. That's fine. And then if we need more rocket fuel to do our final reboot, we have some down there. Transport platform is on the way. So that will be a bit slow. Gleba support is already mostly back. And let's see, we actually need to cut some of these requests because we do not need all of this junk. Okay, something like that. Hopefully, we were probably going to need another delivery of belts, realistically. Just seems like that's going to be the sort of thing that we need. Alright, so how is this doing? You need explosives to make more rockets. Oh right, we need to send rockets over. Gleba support, you request like 200 rockets? Because we need to be able to defend ourselves the moment this thing gets fully rebooted, because those pentapods probably are not going to wait. So, yeah, because I don't think we have that many rockets here. We have, like, some up here. And maybe if we were to distribute these better, then we could fend off an attack. But I'm not confident in that as is. So that can just go. So the biochambers require pentapod eggs, which requires this loop, which requires the whole factory to be functional. And so there's not much we can do about that. Actually, does Novice have... Novice probably has some, right? Did I send some up here? Let's see here. If I just try to build one. Just that. Okay, yeah, we have no biochambers on Novice. So we can't do more importing to fix that. Physical projectile damage up. Very cool. Okay, we can actually get stronger explosives, which apparently we are super far behind on. And that should improve rocket damage, which will be incredibly important for what we're trying to do here. Alright, so this... Yeah, I'm pretty much only seeing missing belts. And there are a lot of missing belts, but there's not much other than missing belts. And obviously the couple of biochambers. So once this transport platform is here, we should have the factory physically back where it needs to be. And then it's just going to be a matter of getting all the rest of this work done to have it actually producing again and defended. And that's probably going to be a nightmare. Like, I do not think that's going to be nearly as easy as getting the buildings back has been, which is concerning. Because we're going to have to get all sorts of loops set up, like the nutrient loop and the agricultural loops, and all that stuff is going to have to get built back. Alright. Just for the sake of future emergencies, let's give that more room to stockpile. And I guess we'll also give these a little bit of extra room to stockpile as well, although they don't need it nearly as much. Just in case something like that happens again, we don't have to wait on more construction. We can just have this stuff built preemptively. And the lubricant is going well now. We have enough heavy oil residue for it. So that's fine. That's all good. Petroleum gas is starting to... Okay, it's at that... It's at the level where we want it to be balanced, which is a pretty good sign, I would say. We've got lots of heavy oil residue, almost no heavy oil. We've got lots of light oil, lots of petroleum gas. Not seeing much heavy oil, so that's a problem. So all the heavy oil, we're just converting it down into light oil. So I think we're just going to have to do the same thing again. So you get something for that, and then we're going to need to sneak you along some power poles, and I guess some random unrelated machine. So that's not set to do anything. Okay, so we need you to just... I'm just going to do this very simply. Enable, disable, if... Okay, actually we just do... No, we should do based on heavy oil. So if heavy oil is greater than... I don't know, 10,000... And then we're going to need to move this box to be attached to the heavy oil somehow, which... Is this really the entire extent of that belt? That's crazy. Okay, we should be able to squeeze in here. So we need this water pipe to go underground a little bit, so that it doesn't conflict. Then we get you in there and connect it up. And then this can then connect across. You can't connect those to wire apparently. Apparently we just need like a random power pole in here just to get the wire across nicely. So then we just do something like that. And hopefully that all works now. Should have more lubricant production now. And transport platform is above Gleba. Great, so you send all that stuff down, and that should be the last chunk, right? Looks like the power grid is going to need rebooting again. But hopefully that will be close to the last time. Alright, so that is in. And the drones are going to start to move. And then they're going to swiftly run out of power after their first wave of constructions. Alright, so we just need to... Yeah, I think it should be... If we just boot these guys up. So let's grab some of that rocket fuel. Give you a stack. Give you a stack. And set these filters back to normal. So we have power production again. That should keep the drones going. It says we're 26 belts short. Okay, but that number is decreasing over time. Not sure what caused that to happen, but hopefully it continues to do that. Alright, there go all the belts. And the only thing missing now are the biochambers. All the other belts are in, and that is gonna cause a little bit of supplementary power as this spoilage goes through, which I'm certainly not going to complain about. Okay, I need to get this set back up. So we clear all that out, and I need to find... I'm pretty sure I left it in a box somewhere. Alright, so now we can just throw that stuff back in. Stronger explosive acquired. And let's just do another one of those, because we want the explosive weaponry to do as much damage as possible for security. Alright, so this spoilage is eventually going to drain out, but in the short term it is providing a bit of supplementary power. So now, unless we've done things wrong... Okay, this is actually starting already. We have Yumiko berries coming along that belt. Okay, actually that's a bad thing, right? We want our rockets ASAP. So we have Yumiko berries coming across the belt, and that should just get things booted up. And yeah, there's the jelly nuts as well. Alright. So that all looks good, but I also need to deal with the threat of attackers, which this is where the other part of the plan comes in. So I get a tank. I get... Where did I leave my ammo? There we go. Uranium rounds and uranium cannon shells and 100 regular cannon shells. Alright, so now I need to grab some rocket fuel, which hopefully won't be an issue. Yeah, no, the rocket fuel, we've got a gigantic long belt of it there. I picked up way too much of it. So now, we're going to head out and do glorious battle with the pentapods, hopefully. Although, I'm not even sure we're going to be able to get to them, but we will try. So, tank, fuel, ammo, ammo. In we go. So now this should absolutely melt through the pentapods, if the water works out. Okay. Yeah, no, that's pretty great. That is indeed pretty great. We need the uranium shots just to clear out the little guys. And there we go. Then we slip back to the cannon shells for dealing with the big guys. And now we just head out here, deal with the last couple of these. Alright, so that's all gone. Right, I forgot how many of these there were. Alright, you... Oh, I didn't bring repair packs with me. I have some, but I just didn't bring them. So that's not optimal. But mission accomplished anyways. That batch of enemies is gone. And let's pick up some pentapod eggs, I guess. Alright, we have some pentapod eggs, so we should be able to do some stuff with those. If nothing else, just maybe make some of those biochambers that we were missing. So now let's drive our tank back to here-ish, and let's just leave it there. It can get repair packed from over there. Okay. So, we have the pentapod eggs. Is this missing anything else? No, we have nutrients we have water. So if we just pop the pentapod eggs into that, that should get this loop going, which, at least for now, has everything we need to make a couple more biochambers. So that's that. Okay, actually getting this rebooted seems like it wasn't that bad at all. I mean, it looks like stuff is happening. We are shoveling jelly into these guys to produce power. And if we head down here, these guys are producing power. We have sulfur output. I don't see any rocket fuel output, though. So that might be one of the things that we still need to rebuild. See, that biochamber making nutrients is one of the ones that's still destroyed. Yeah, where is our rocket fuel production? Actually, it's this guy. And you need... oh, you need jelly in this to make rocket fuel? Okay, you have basically everything you need. You have basically everything you need to make some plastic. Yeah, I think this might be booting up again. I'm not seeing any catastrophic problems. Although we'll have to see, we might need to interact with the seeds to stop them from backing up as much as they are. We might need to do something about that. Like this, for example. Yeah, this was actually what I was doing when the catastrophe hit. Alright, so let's just... if we just go over to the end of this... let's see, how do we want to make sure we don't use all of our seeds, but we do use some of them? And I guess it's going to be a decider combinator thing. So, do I have any of those? Can I turn this back on just to see what I can get delivered? We have power here. The drone system should be perfectly fine to use. Alright, decider combinator. Pop you in. And read off of this. Hold all belts. So that is indeed showing me what I want to see. Which means that now we just get a... we just get one of these guys in to that. And we get a drone port. Gosh, I'm actually like doing productive forward progress now. That's pretty cool. Alright, so this needs to do that and enable disable. And you need to be seeds are... jelly nut seeds are greater than... let's go 1,000. Output 1 for a check signal, and then you are set check signal greater than 0. You are enabled. Alright, so that should be that. Stronger explosives is through. Next stronger explosives requires agricultural science, which still isn't really a thing yet. We have repaired a lot. We haven't repaired quite that much. Let's see here. I guess follower robot count. Not that I really use much of those, but you know, it's something. So in order to produce rockets on site, we need explosives. How does one make explosives? What are we missing for that product? We have... okay, so this biochamber makes carbon, which I believe is just for the carbon fiber. I know we... oh, we did make explosives. They're right over here. And they are happening just slowly, because we don't have enough coal. Alright. How do we make coal again? Is that just with this? Yeah, so this is just relying on the carbon supply to get back up. Alright, so let's get our rockets. Okay, no, you don't want to do that. Let's get rockets set up. So this, the spore cloud is big again, which probably means we're like moments away from being attacked. Gleba support is here with a couple hundred rockets. So let's grab those, and we have rocket turrets. I could have sworn we had more than this. I must have put them in a box somewhere. They're probably in here. Yeah, there they are. Alright, so we have rockets, we have rocket turrets. Now let's just get these defenses set up better. So we learned from last time, 2 of these guys, not enough. Let's try 4, and they're also just upgraded from all of our explosives upgrades, so hopefully that'll be enough. And paste the settings across. So this is the guy up there who's going to be attacking us any second now. Oh, I guess I need to put these in manually. Or not. Why are you not getting placed? Why is there literally nothing that I can do to place you there? Is it because of the... Okay, somehow missing construction bots, which doesn't really make sense. Where is that happening? That is up here on this corner. You are part of the same network as all the rest of us. That nest up there is probably going to come and attack us. I should probably just wipe it out. I just don't understand why this landfill isn't getting bots to place it. So I guess I'll just do it manually. And then we can also just cover in that area. And did I miss a spot? Okay, for some reason that electrical pole doesn't want to get placed. Don't know why. Alright, so those go in. And now they get all that stuff. Okay, and because these have like a minimum range, right? So because they have a minimum range, let's also give them a couple of laser turrets just in front of them, just somewhere like that, with a power pole. Alright, so then that isn't going to mess with this guy's radius, so it should be fine. I guess we'll have to see once the attack comes, if it does. Alright, so this is the... That guy and that guy are going to attack us. Down here, I don't really see anything especially close to that pollution cloud. And let's see, it's delivering these in kind of a dumb way. Let's just make sure they're a little bit evenly distributed. Yeah, why? Do we just need another drone port up here, or what? I don't know why they're having so much trouble with that. Okay, that's all in. We can get artillery shell shooting speed, I guess. Or stronger explosives, right. We already discussed that. Requires new tech. Alright, so this now gives drone coverage to this whole area, so I don't know why they're missing construction bots. That doesn't make any sense to me. But let's see here. It could be because it wants to like do the other type of landfill. I bet that's it. I bet it wants to do this stuff. Which, oh, I also need to get that set up. Okay, so we just need to get that set up. I did this for the jelly nuts, but not the whatever these things are called, Yumikos. So let's just go back to here, vaguely close-ish to this area. And I'm going to give you... Actually, let's have this further over here just so we can grab more of them at once. Give you that and a decider combinator, which is going to read from that belt, feed to that, and so this is going to read if... Is that an attack here? No, that's an attack on novice. I am expecting an attack here basically any second. Eco seeds, you need to be read, hold all belts. So if those are greater than 200, let's say, then output a check mark, and you are going to be enable, disable on the check mark. Wait, did I set that up right? Check mark greater than 0. Alright, so this is disabled by control behavior because we only have 199 seeds, so yes, that is all good. 25 entities are missing material. Oh, I see what happened. So we didn't have the landfill in the system over here, but I had the landfill in my personal inventory, but I didn't have any construction drones in my personal inventory. Alright, let's grab some of those. So then I can run over and do that, and we're going to need to figure out what's wrong with the landfill. Okay. They did get attacked. It looks mostly... Okay, at least that attack was mostly fine. The rocket turrets dealt with it, but I think we do definitely need the laser turrets to clear with the little mini guys. Alright, so now all that stuff gets repaired, and we're back. Alright, I am not super confident in the ability of these rocket turrets to deal with it, so I'm going to run down and just deal with that guy manually with the tank, which I'm pretty sure I left down here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. So we can hop into this and drive on up. Do I have repair packs? I do have repair packs, so this should be a lot easier, less risky than the previous run. So we're just going to drive our tank up this way. And... okay. Alright, so the big guy dealt with. Those little guys dealt with. Let's see, the nests are down. And now I just need to get rid of all the annoying guys who don't stay still long enough for anything else to work. Alright, that's gone. And I didn't accidentally pick up... oh, I did accidentally pick up pentapod eggs. Okay. So that's fine. That nest is gone. Actually, there's like another one right up here as well. So the long-term solution, I think, is going to have to be the The long-term solution is going to have to be just using artillery to wipe out these nests the same way we do with biters. I don't know how well the rocket turrets are actually going to do defensively against these. Okay, there we go. There's another littler nest up here. Let's just clear it out while we're in the area. We are running low on uranium ammo, so this is gonna be the end of that expedition, but it was a very successful expedition. Alright, so that is all cleared out, and we should be safe at least from those guys. So next time we're going to be bringing artillery back to here so that we can deal with those guys remotely instead of having to drive a tank out and do some fighting, which sucks. How do we get out of this? Enter. Alright, so that is all that. This factory is mostly intact again. So if I take out all these requirements, then Gleba support is flying normally again. Alright, so hopefully that will do. There's a bit more cleanup to do over this side apparently, but that'll be a job for next time. So we have, I believe, more or less succeeded. There's probably some weird stuff that we're going to need to do to get things fully back online, but it certainly looks like Gleba is running again. We have science output, we have rocket production to some extent, and we have rocket turrets as well. So the next goal, we're going to be importing artillery here to Gleba. We're going to be figuring out how to make the Spidertrons, and then we're just going to be moving forwards. So, thanks everyone for hanging out. I had a lot of fun today. Good productive day. We reclaimed Gleba, got a lot of stuff sorted back on Novice. Like we have nuclear power now, which is cool. We have artillery dealing with all these guys. We just got to see some foolish biter tried to move in real close and got blasted. But yeah, I think that's all for today. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I will be streaming Satisfactory tomorrow, where we are doing plutonium power plant stuff, as we have been for a little bit now. So if you're interested in that, make sure to stop by then. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time. Otherwise, I will be back in Factorio on Wednesday, where we're just going to be continuing along with this. So make sure to follow if you haven't already, so you can see when I'm live and when I'm playing. And that'll be that. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I will see you guys next time.